You wake up before the alarm again. Not because you are rested, not because you are excited, but because your body has learned the routine better than your mind wants to admit. Same schedule, same commute, same job, same bills waiting at the end of the month. And here is the strange part. You are making more money than you ever thought you would. Maybe more than your parents made at your age. Maybe more than your friends guessed. Maybe even enough to look successful from the outside. So why does it still feel like you cannot breathe financially? Why does the paycheck come in and disappear almost on arrival? That is what this video is about. Because for millions of people, the problem is not laziness, it is not a lack of intelligence, and it is not simply that they need to make more money. The problem is something deeper. It is the salary trap. And once you see it clearly, you will never look at your paycheck the same way again. 1. The illusion of doing well. Let's start with someone we will call Nojitsu. Nojitsu is 35. He has a respectable job, a solid resume, and a salary that sounds impressive when people ask what he does. On paper, he's doing everything right. He earns well, he pays his bills, he keeps up appearances. He has an apartment, a car, a phone plan, streaming subscriptions, groceries in the fridge, and enough money to occasionally eat out and tell himself he is enjoying life. From the outside, Nojitsu looks stable. But stability and freedom are not the same thing. Every payday, his money arrives like a wave, and within days, that wave has already been redirected into 10 different channels. Housing, transportation, insurance, food, utilities, debt payments, subscriptions, small conveniences, unexpected costs, random expenses that somehow show up every single month. Nothing looks outrageous by itself. That is the trick. The pressure is not always in one giant expense. It is often hidden in 100 normal ones. And because the money disappears in pieces, it doesn't feel like loss. It just feels like adulthood. That is the first layer of the trap. You are given enough to function, but not enough margin to feel free. You can maintain your life, but you cannot easily build a new one. 2. Why a bigger salary doesn't automatically fix it. Now, most people assume the solution is simple. Just make more money. And yes, higher income can help, but only if the gap between what you earn and what you spend gets wider. For many people, that never happens, because every raise invites a new expense. A better apartment, a newer car, a more expensive neighborhood, more convenience, more comfort, more monthly commitments dressed up as progress. So the person who once struggled at one income level begins struggling at a higher one, not because they became irresponsible overnight, but because their lifestyle quietly rose to meet their paycheck. This is why someone can get promoted and still feel stuck. The number changed, the pressure did not. And that is what makes the salary trap so powerful. It doesn't need to keep you poor. It only needs to keep you dependent. If your life requires every paycheck, then your job is not just your income source. It becomes your oxygen tank. And the moment that happens, fear enters the picture. You stop asking, what do I really want to build? And start asking, what can I not afford to lose? 3. The golden cage. This is where job security starts to look very different. People talk about a stable job as if it is the final answer. And in many ways, work is honorable and necessary. But a job is only secure if your entire life is not hanging from it by one thread. If losing one paycheck puts your whole household into panic mode, that is not true security. That is dependence wearing a suit and tie. A lot of professionals live in what looks like success, but it functions like a cage. A polished cage, a well-furnished cage, a socially approved cage. They have the title, the salary, the image, but they do not have breathing room. They cannot pause, they cannot pivot easily, they cannot take bold risks, they cannot walk away from unhealthy environments with fear. Why? Because every dollar they earn is already spoken for.
The landlord wants it. The bank wants it. The credit card wants it. The car lender wants it. The service providers want it. Before the paycheck even lands, it already has a list of people waiting for it. And the scary part is this: many people do not realize they are trapped because their trap is comfortable. 4. Why this system feels normal. Here is why this is so easy to miss. The salary trap doesn't usually feel like a dramatic crisis. It feels normal. Wake up, work hard, get paid, recover, repeat. That cycle is so common that people stop questioning it. They start measuring success by income alone. But income is not the same as wealth. Income is what comes in. Wealth is what stays. Income can stop next month. Wealth gives you options. That difference changes everything. A person earning a large salary with no savings, no investments, and no margin is not as secure as they appear. And a person earning less but steadily building assets may be far more powerful than anyone realizes. Because real strength is not only in what you earn, it is in what you keep, what you own, in what keeps working when you are not working. 5. The emotional cost. The salary trap is not only financial, it is emotional. It creates a low-grade anxiety that follows you everywhere. You feel it when your phone buzzes with an unexpected charge. You feel it when rent is due. You feel it when your car makes a strange sound. You feel it when your company announces restructuring. You feel it when you dream about leaving, but immediately calculate what that would cost. Even good news can feel temporary. A raise comes in, and for a moment you feel relief. Then life absorbs it. And a few months later, you are right back where you started. Except now you are maintaining a more expensive version of your old stress. That is exhausting. Because the deeper issue was never solved. You didn't escape the treadmill. You just increased the speed. 6. The real question. So here's the question most people are not asking. Not, how do I make more money? That matters. But it is not the first question. The better question is, why does my money disappear so fast? Why do I feel broke at an income level I once prayed for? Why do I feel successful and stuck at the same time? What am I building besides bills? Those questions are uncomfortable, but they are powerful. Because the moment you stop worshiping income and start examining structure, your thinking changes. You stop chasing bigger numbers blindly and start chasing margin. You stop trying to look wealthier and start trying to become freer. 7. How to break the trap. Now let me be clear. This is not a message telling you to quit your job tomorrow and disappear into the mountains. This is about building leverage while you still have income. Here is where freedom begins. First, separate income from identity. Your salary is not your worth. It is not your value as a person. It is not proof that you are winning. It is just a tool. A useful one, yes, but still just a tool. Second, create space between what comes in and what goes out. That space is everything. That gap is where your future lives. No gap means no flexibility. No flexibility means no freedom. 3. Stop upgrading every time your paycheck grows. Not every raise needs to become a new car payment. Not every promotion needs to become more rent. Sometimes the smartest move is to let your income rise while your lifestyle stays still. That's how margin grows. 4. Redirect surplus into assets. Savings, investments, a business, a skill that can increase your income outside your employer. Something that strengthens you instead of draining you. 5. Build an emergency cushion. The moment you have a few months of living expenses set aside, your mind changes. You negotiate differently. You think differently. You carry yourself differently. Why? Because fear loses some of its grip when desperation is no longer in the room. Section 8. What freedom actually looks like. Freedom is not always flashy. Sometimes freedom is simply this: being able to say no, being able to leave, being able to rest, being able to take a calculated risk, being able to survive a setback without your whole world collapsing. Freedom is not having the most expensive life in the room. Freedom is having choices. And that is what the salary trap quietly steals. It steals opportunities. It keeps you performing success while feeling fragile inside. But once you understand the game, you can start playing differently. You can use your salary as a stepping stone instead of a cage. You can turn income into ownership. You can build a life where the paycheck helps you, but does not control you. That is the shift. So no, the problem is not always that you need a bigger salary. Sometimes the problem is that you were taught to chase income without ever being taught how to build freedom. And those are not the same thing. A good paycheck can support your future, but it can also lock you into a life that looks successful and feels suffocating. The difference is in what you do next. Do you keep feeding the machine? Or do you start building margin, assets,